Good morning. Today is Monday morning mommy me time. I'm here hanging in my chill out, like got my little yoga clothes, my little sweatshirt. It's mommy time. This is what mommies do when their kids go to school. We hang out in our sweat clothes and we do Facebook Live videos. Those of us who are lucky enough to work at home, sometimes we get to do that. So today's topic, we got one super awesome ingredient. If you can guess what the super awesome ingredient is, stick it in the comments. I bet you can guess. And I'm going to show you 7 easy activities that we can start implementing today to start feeling like an awesome mom. Because on the surface, we think we're pulling off mommyhood pretty well. But deep down, when we get face to face with ourselves, really, I think most of us don't know what the heck we're doing. Yes or yes? Do you agree? Because you know how I know that you feel like this? Because I have my master's in marriage and family therapy, and I've been teaching an awesome parenting class for 5 years that has lots and lots of research, and I still feel like that. And I admitted that to one of my clients this week, and she was like, even you feel like a terrible mother? And I was like, yeah, even me. So don't worry about it. You're doing great as a mom, and you know why I know you're doing great as a mom? Because you're here, because you're watching this video, because moms who are awesome are always learning about more stuff they can do to be more awesome. So you can give yourself a pat on the back because you're here. And if you know some moms who could use a little more awesomeness, let's invite them in here. I want you to take a minute to acknowledge yourself for taking time out of your busy schedule, because we definitely do not just sit around on the couch and eat bonbons. I have a pile of laundry right there that I need to fold, because being a working mom is a full-time job. Being a mom is a full-time job. Working is a full-time job, and doing them both is a lot. So I totally get it. I want to acknowledge you for being here. You're right on track being here, spending a few minutes for me time. And I'm going to give you some really valuable information today on how easy it is to be an awesome mom and feel really good about what you're doing, okay? So I'm Love Coach Heather Hundhausen. I help very powerful, leading women like you, like moms, right, who influences the next generation more than us moms. Like, it's happening in our own households. And I help women like you who are struggling between like trying to control everything and, releasing into surrender so that you can be your beautifully authentic self, own your true light, and of course, shine your light into the world and influence the world around you, which of course starts with the next generation, which is our kids. So just to clarify, mom doesn't mean just a woman who has birthed her own child. When we're talking about moms in this group, we're talking about all of us, because we all have an inner child that we're reparenting, and many of us are teachers or aunts, and we're taking care of other people's children. And so I consider any woman who has any inclination of ever being a mom, or who has an inner child, or who has a child who takes care of someone else's children, a mom, and that includes you. So if that's you, Monday morning me time is for you, and for the next few weeks, I'm planning on going live with you every morning. So come on in here. We've been doing them at about 11 o'clock, and that way you can ask me questions directly if what I'm saying is not making any sense, because sometimes that happens. And I just ate some pineapple, so it's stuck on my teeth. All right, here we go. So you want to be an awesome mom, and here's 7 easy activities to implement today. So can you relate to this? If you think your mother did a terrible job with her parenting skills, you feel like you're surely not going to make the mistakes that she made. True or true? Is that true? If it's true, put yes, true in the comments. And if that's not true, if your mother did an amazing job, then you're going to do your very best to try to do it just as well as she did, right? Correct? If that's true, put that in the comments. So let's get into how to not let life get in the way of you being an awesome mom, the mom you want to be, the 1 secret ingredient, and 7 ways you can take action today with your kids. Make sure to invite your friends who might be struggling a little bit with mommyhood, because we all are. Throw them in the group. Well, don't throw them in the group. They don't like that. Invite them into the group. Tell them, hey, there's this cool thing going on about motherhood. Come check it out. And then if you have any questions, I'll answer them at the end. Okay, so I know that we don't always know what we're doing as mothers because the babies didn't come with a handbook, obviously. And you know that you either want to do it the way your mother did it, or you don't want to do it the way that she did it, depending on whether or not you think she did a good job, right? So the troubling part is knowing what is a good mother. Is a good mother one who's there all the time, or is that a smother mother or a helicopter mother? Is a good mother one who has strict boundaries and punishments because then the kids behave? Or is that going to cause some kind of inability to produce money in the future because your child's operating out of a fear mentality? So if your parents were smothering, maybe you shouldn't be so smothering with your kids and you should give them more freedom. But how much freedom is enough freedom? And if your parents gave you too much freedom, you may feel abandonment, like they weren't there, or maybe even neglected. And maybe you want to give your kids extra attention, but then they end up feeling smothered. I'm telling you, you can't get it right. I'm also here to tell you, you really can't get it wrong if you focus on the one key ingredient. Anybody know what that is? Take a guess. Love. Always comes back to love. That's what we're here to teach about, right? So your kids thriving depends on how loved they feel. And at the end of the day, it's your relationship with them that's going to get them through their life. They're going to hit bumps. They're going to mess up. Guess what? We all do. I mean, I've messed up. I don't like to admit it, but it's happened. And do they have you there to depend on them when they fall down? Or do they avoid you because they're afraid of your punishment or your judgment or your attitude or something like that? So in preparing for this, I actually asked my kids and some of my kids' friends what they thought about their parents. And it was really interesting because the kids with the strict parents are like, I'm really happy that my parents are very strict because it teaches kids how to do. And then the kids with the more permissive parents were like, oh no, my parents are great. They let me do whatever I want. And I was like, what? Because it ends up being that the most important thing is that your kid feels loved. It doesn't matter if you smother them too much, and it doesn't matter if you give them too much freedom. What matters is that they feel loved and that they understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, okay? So it doesn't matter if you're taking them to all the extra after-school activities, if you're making them do extra homework, or if they're playing video games all day, if they're hanging out with the good kids, the bad kids. They have a good influence, they have a bad influence. It really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what really matters is your relationship with your kid. You know, if you were going to rank it right now, your relationship with your kid on a scale from 1 to 10, how are you doing? Ask yourself, how are you doing? Have you created a relationship that's full of love? Do you do the right thing according to your heart? Is your kid doing the right thing according to their heart? Are you operating out of fear? There really isn't a right or a wrong way to do this as long as you're staying connected in love and in your heart. You know, my personal spiritual outlook, this isn't like a teaching, this is what I live by, is that we pick our parents. You know, like me and God sat down at the breakfast table, had a cup of coffee, and I said, you know what, in this lifetime I want to learn about control and surrender. I want to learn about peace and chaos. I want to learn about all of these different things. And they said, oh, well, we'll give you John and Donna as your parents and you'll learn all that stuff, you know? So I think that we came here picking our parents and our kids came here picking us. And so if that's true, if they chose me because of the kind of person I am, it's exactly the kind of person that they need. And they'll have the experiences that they need in order to learn the kinds of things that they need to learn. And we'll both learn and we'll both grow and we'll both expand and we'll both learn how to love. Hopefully, right? I mean, that's what I'm here for, love and peace. So every action is either love or a call for love. And you can ask yourself, are my kids loving me? Like, are they acting in a way that's loving? Or are they asking me for love? And this is my personal opinion that not everybody's going to agree on, but based on the research I've done and all the experience that I have in the field, I would argue that if you need love as a parent, like if you're like, well, what about my kid? I need my kid to love me. Going to your kids to get the love that you need is unhealthy, and I would never ever recommend it. So if you don't agree with me on that, I'm probably not the coach for you. And I'd like to go into a lot of detail on that, but we're not covering that in this talk. If you want me to cover it, you know, write in the comments, Heather, I don't agree with you. I want you to do this talk. Why do you think that I shouldn't go to my kids to get my needs met? Isn't that why I had them? You know, I had them so they could be my servant, my slave, and they could, you know, make me feel good about myself. Like, I am not a fan of that. But if you feel like that, I definitely want to do a talk, and I will describe to you in detail all the research that I've done that has pointed me to learn to not do that. I would love to share. So, but that's not this talk. So let's get into it. So we're going to start to get into the 7 things. So children misbehave because they need attention, okay? So we all need attention, and we're all just 2-year-olds in grown-up bodies going, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, I need attention, right? And we all do it in different ways, and I teach a parenting course on this, so I'm not going to go into all of it now because it takes me, you know, 16 to 18 hours to teach all of that. But I'm going to give you the main pointers, like the really juicy takeaways, the ones that I really stay focused on, that are easy to implement like now, today. So number 1, super easy, spend time with your kids. Like seriously, it's that easy. And I could go into all these details and all this research, and I could give you examples, and we could do exercises, and you know, we do all that in the class to show you why it's so important to spend time with your kids. But you know, we're not going to get into that right now, but you can literally take your house from being total chaos to being a place of peace by just simply spending like literally 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes with each one of your kids, one-on-one personal time, doing something really special with that kid every day. It doesn't have to cost money. You don't have to go anywhere. You literally just focus on your kid for 5 to 10 minutes, especially when they come to you looking for your attention. If you just put down your phone or the dishes or whatever it is you're doing and you turn towards your kid, you know, that's really, like, I'm not joking when I say you can turn your whole household from chaos to peace doing this one thing. Super, super easy. And you don't have to do it all day long, every day. You don't have to respond to them every single time they come to you. But, you know, and it could be anything depending on what your kid's love language is. Yes, and Heather says spending time with them is so important that she totally agrees. Yes, awesome. And if you want to give an example, Heather, I would love to hear an example of something that you did. Heather actually, I remember talking with Heather once, and she said her and her child wanted to eat a mound of cookies. And so I remember going home that day and telling my kids, like, oh, my friends and her child really wants to eat a mound of cookies. And my kids were like, oh my God, I want to eat a mound of cookies. And so, like, we actually have this annual tradition now, Heather, because of you, that every year we go and we buy like all these cookies and we put them on a big plate, and we make, like this year we made brownies. And we made these little cookies that we put sprinkles on or whatever, and I actually let my mom do the mound of cookies with them because she lets them eat ice cream for breakfast, and so I thought it was perfectly, you know, perfect context, but I got that from you. And it's something that they love so much, and we do it once a year on the last day of school, so thank you for that. They love it. My kids love you because of that. Okay, so here's an example of, other than the mound of cookies, something that I did was my kid's love language. It literally just took 5 or 10 minutes. He was like, Mommy, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed to admit this. I change their bed sheets regularly, but for Gabriel, he's like really germophobic, and he'll admit that. And he was like, Mommy, please, can you just change my sheets? Like, I will clean the whole kitchen for you if you just clean my sheets. And that was what my kid needed to feel special, to feel love and attention. And you have to do it annually now too. Yeah, that's awesome. So that's all he needed for that was the 5 or 10 minutes that Gabriel needed from me in order to feel loved and taken care of. And it was so fun too, because not only did I just change the sheets, but I like made the bed, put all the animals, and I put the little Christmas lights. I put them up on their what do they have, a bunk bed? I put the Christmas lights up a long time ago, but they weren't plugged in, so I plugged in the Christmas lights and turned them on and turned out all the other lights, and it looked so awesome. And when he got out of the shower, he went in there and he was like, oh, Mommy, this is so amazing. And then he came in and he did all of the dishes from dinner. It was awesome. So I'm telling you one little spend a little bit of time doing what your kids need. Like, ask them what they need. Don't just assume that you know either, because you don't know what they need. Like, I remember doing the, oh my God, I'm on so many tangents today. I hope you guys don't mind. I remember in the parenting class that I teach one time, there's this exercise we do where you pretend like you're the kid and you come to me, I'm the mom, and you scraped your knee. And I asked you, well, what do you need? And this one person was like, I need a cookie, or I need ice cream. Like, that's what she needed because her knee was hurting, you know? And never in a million years as a mom would I have guessed that my kid needed ice cream because he scraped his knee, you know? And that was the example from the, you know, it was like a parent in the parenting class, and she was joking around. But, you know, like, we don't know what our kids need. We have to ask them. So spend a little time focusing on your kids. That's number one. Number two, so let's get into punishment. Hang on, Heather says something. An example would be, she wanted me to get off the couch and dance with her, and it made her so happy, and really just listening to her. Right. I mean, like, it's that easy. It's like, oh, please, mommy, dance with me. And you're like, oh, I don't want to dance with you. I got shit to do. Sorry. But, you know, and then you just get up and you dance with your kid for 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden, like, everything feels awesome. That's a great example. Thank you for sharing that, Heather. All right, so where am I? Let's get into punishments. Okay, because I think punishment is the thing that makes most of us feel like totally crappy parents. Either because we're punishing too harshly, or because we're, like, not punishing. And actually, that's autocratic parenting is somebody who, like, really harshly punishes, and then permissive parenting is somebody who, like, doesn't punish. And I actually have 2 talks coming up on both of those. I'm going to be doing autocratic parenting, and I'm going to be doing permissive parenting, and what they both are and how you can find the balance in the middle. So that's coming, so stay tuned in the next few weeks for that, but we're not doing that today. We're going to get into consequences that are suitable for whatever misbehavior your kid is doing. So what I like to say is, don't punish your kid with consequences that have nothing to do with whatever their wrongdoing was. Like, we aren't drill sergeants. We don't need to be so mean. And why do we think that scaring them is going to make them behave? Like, it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't work. What they end up doing is going to the room thinking either that you hate them, or that you're a jerk, or there's something wrong with them. Like, we don't want our kids feeling like that. So what does work is when things are logical and they can understand why they don't want to do that again. You know, so it's like, if you break the lamp, then you have to work to buy a new lamp. Like, that makes sense, you know? So you want to have your punishments be related to whatever the thing was. Like, if you poke your brother in the eye, I guess, like, you get to take care of your brother's messed up eye. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? But it has to relate. So here's an example that's a better example than that one that I was just thinking on the top of my head. So I have a kid who wants to have long hair. His hair's longer than mine. And actually, his grandmother doesn't want him to have long hair. She's like, I don't know why you let your kids have long hair, whatever. I'm like, they're kids, you know? They're going to have to cut their hair and have shaved faces and all that if they want to work, and whatever. We're not getting into all that. So I made an agreement with my kid. We actually, as a family, we made an agreement with him, because he was like wearing it like this, you know? We were like, dude, we can't see you, you know? We're going to make you cut your hair because we can't see you. So we made an agreement. He gets to comb it every night. He gets to comb it every morning. He gets to wash it every day, and it gets to stay out of his face, especially at Grammy's house, because she doesn't like that at all. And I'm like, dude, if you have your hair in your face for pictures or Grammy's house or whatever, we're cutting it off. And you can keep it. I know you want it. You can keep it, but, like, these are the rules. You know, these are the boundaries. And that made sense to him, right? So now every morning he combs his hair, and every night he combs his hair, and if he forgets, he runs to do it if we remind him, because he doesn't want his hair cut off. But what wouldn't make sense if I was like, you know what? You didn't do your homework last night, so I'm going to cut your hair. Like, what? That has nothing to do with his hair. It wouldn't be fair to cut his hair because he didn't do his homework, or because he did some other wrong behavior. Am I making sense? If I'm making sense, like, let me know. Let me know if I'm making sense. So if you do this, the punishment for, like, the crime will not be arbitrary, and your kids will understand the natural and the logical consequences of their actual behavior, right? So if they're doing good behavior, there's good consequences. If they're doing bad behavior, there's bad consequences, right? So instead of thinking that there's something wrong with them and that they just can't get their life right, they'll begin to make logical associations between their behavior and the outcome of their behavior. Okay, that's number 2. If that's making sense, we're going to move on to number 3. If anybody has questions, you can throw them in the comment box. All right. Number 3, if my kids are mad at me, like if they're acting like little a-holes, there's probably a reason. I probably did something to really piss them off. Okay, don't be afraid to ask yourself what you did that hurt your kids if they're trying to hurt you, especially the kids under 12, because their brains aren't working like adults yet. Like if your kid under 12 is trying to hurt you, you more than likely hurt them first. And really this applies to kids over 12, you know, also, but you get to be willing to take a look at what you might have done to hurt them. And I know this is not what most parents are thinking. Most parents are like, that little jerk, he's yelling at me, he deserves to be punished, whatever. No, your kid is yelling at you or they're hurting you because you hurt them first. Like I almost want to say 100% guarantee. And even like your husband, like it's really, we're all just 2-year-olds in grown-up bodies, like going, pay attention to me. Like if somebody, I like to say like this, hurt people hurt people. It's like you won't hurt someone else if you didn't interpret them hurting you first. And a lot of times with grown-ups and especially with kids, you know, they're not thinking quite as logically as we are yet. And if you say you can't have a cookie, like they may have heard you're a horrible person. You don't know, you know what I mean? So you get to, don't be afraid to ask yourself what you did that hurt your kids. Like don't be afraid of that. Like, so for instance, my son will like, he gets kind of explosive and he yells sometimes. And a lot of parents would yell back at their kid or punish them if that happened. But I choose not to do that because I know that there's something wrong with him. So I sit down with him and I ask him, hey, bud, like what's going on? And he usually gets really expressive and emotional with me. And he tells me about his like horrible bad day. And then he'll be like, and you're putting all this pressure on me. And, you know, don't ask me to take out the trash again because you've already asked me 10 times. You know, like he lets me know that he's not okay and what I'm doing that's making him feel not okay. And that he's had this whole rest of the day that's not okay. So we're able to connect and love each other. And then he's easily able to say he's sorry for yelling at me. It's actually really cute. Generally, he'll spend like the rest of the night following me around, trying to make up for it, or just trying to get close to me with like lots of hugs or helping me. Like this is what our kids and our husbands do when we pay attention to them when they're not okay. Instead of just being like, you're being a jerk, stop being a jerk. Be like, hey man, I noticed you're not okay. Like, what's going on? So this is a natural course of action we take when we're operating out of love. And like I said, it happens with our spouses too. And we all just want to be heard and seen. So if somebody's hurting you, you probably hurt them first. And you get to ask yourself how you did that. And a lot of people are in a lot of denial about this part. And that's why you need a coach. You need a coach sometimes because you just can't see it. Like if your wife or your husband is being a total a-hole, it's a pretty good chance you did something first, but you can't see it because you just want to blame them and be mad at them. Okay, that's another training. That'll come on Wednesdays, Wifey Wednesdays. All right, so have the intention of how you want them to be as an adult. Oh, God, this is like one of my very, very favorites. So, you know, I'm all about creating your reality out of your intentions. And so I'm going to start by giving you an example. So with my boys, I always think about that I want them to be contributing, providing, generous adult men, right? Like I want them to make a lot of money. I want them to provide for their wives or their families. And so when I deal with them when they've been misbehaving, I want to make sure that my intention is to raise them to become these kinds of men. Does that make sense? So it's not like I head in there with a punishment. Instead, I attempt to give them the opportunity to step into being a provider or step into contributing or being generous or being loving and following their hearts. Like I literally will ask them what it looks like to do that. And generally they know and then they'll do it, right? Because I could literally be like, and you know, we're Christian in my family, so I'll say like, what does Jesus say? Or I'll say like, in your heart, what's your heart telling you to do? And they know, you know, deep down, we all want to be loved. We just want to connect, and we want to do the right thing. And we get to foster that as mothers, and we get to foster it in ourselves too, right? Like, I get to ask myself, what would Jesus want me to do? You know, what feels right in my heart, instead of operating out of fear or some other thing. So when you do this, it instantly changes your behavior. Like, my behavior as a mother changes instantly when I have that intention. So if your kids are screaming and they're hitting each other, and you walk in the room thinking, I am going to kill those little, you know, fill in the blanks, guess what? If you think instead, what can I say that's going to enroll my children in becoming contributing members of society? Guess what? You're going to talk to them very differently than when you walk in there and you think those are a bunch of little, you know, what's. That making sense? All right, so number 5, acknowledge your kids. Like, it's thank you, you know, big words. We're always asking them to say thank you. How often are you saying thank you to your kid? If they do something great, tell them. If they do something wrong, just show them how to do it the right way. Don't criticize them. You're their greatest teacher, so teach them. Don't criticize them. By the way, this works with your husband too. You know, don't criticize him either. You know, just simply show him what you need. Now, here's the tricky part, because as women, a lot of times we have trouble knowing what our own needs are. So if you need something, you have to just simply ask them what you need. Don't be a martyr. Don't be a victim. Don't be like, nobody ever takes care of me. Nobody ever does the dishes. You know, don't do that. Nobody wants to hear that crap. Instead, in an empowered way, ask for what you need. And if they don't do it right, you just simply teach them what you need. So, for instance, like, my son likes to clean the toilet. Well, I mean, nobody likes to clean the toilet, but of all the chores, that happens to be the one he likes the most, and thank God, because it's one of the ones I hate the most. But anyway, if there's still like hairs on it, or there's whatever gross stuff, I say, wow, you know, thank you so much for cleaning the toilet. Look, let me show you something. This is how you get the little spots off. Do you want to try? And then that way he's being empowered and acknowledged and not criticized. Is that making sense? Everybody's getting what I'm saying here? So if you acknowledge the good behavior, you'll very likely see a lot more of it. Okay, do you want to see more good behavior? Then acknowledge the good behavior. Yeah, some little smiley faces, right? If you want to see more good behavior, acknowledge the good behavior. If you criticize the bad behavior, you're not changing the behavior. You're being an a-hole, and you're affecting the other person's sense of self-esteem and self-worth. Okay, do I need to say that again? Because it's important. If you're criticizing someone else, you're being a jerk, and you're affecting their sense of self-esteem and self-worth. Don't do that. Don't criticize people. It's never, ever, ever helpful. If someone comes to you and they're like, hey, Heather, you know, I have a problem, blah, blah, blah. What do you think? Then I can be like, yeah, I don't think you're doing it right. But that's like, somebody's asking you to give them feedback. That's way different than just walking in and being like, you know what, you don't do anything right, blah, blah, blah. Don't do that, okay? It's super destructive. All right, so as you guys can see, there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just simply about staying in the intention of love. It's about staying in the intention of what you want to create. It's about using those feminine attributes we've been talking about for the last few weeks, about your imagination and your creativity and being generative and creating the next generation. And like, you get to create the family of your dreams. So this takes me to number 6, which is you can literally spend time in meditation or visualization or journaling to create and imagine exactly what you want your family life to look like. So who can relate to this? Too often we spend time focusing on what's not working, right? So the stronger you make the picture of what's not working by focusing on it, the more of a reality it's going to become. Does that make sense? Is that clear? So if we start focusing on what we want to have, then we get that. Like, you can literally see in your mind's eye the path that you need to take okay, here's an example, okay? So I was working with a client last week who said, oh, I know that the rest of the day is gonna be crap with my kid and my kid's dad and blah, 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 and I prepare myself for this crap. And I was like, oh, wow. Well, listen, you're super powerful, so guess what your day is gonna look like? Pretty crappy. You know, cut that out. Don't do that. Instead, think about what an amazing day you could be having and how things are going to work out exactly the way that you want them to. And what does that even look like? You know, in that picture in your mind, what are you saying to have things go the way you want them to say? What are you doing? How are you behaving? What's your way of being? Stop focusing on what's not working. I promise you, if you focus on what's not working, you're going to get more of things that don't work. I promise, okay? So when you use visualization for what you want your family or your relationship or your business or whatever to look like, and you feel into it, right? You're creating a vibration. You're already creating it. You make the roadmap for yourself. You see how it works and you follow it. You're literally creating vibration. You're sending it out into the world and people are responding, okay? Like, I have an example, but I'm not sure if I should use it. So I'm going to make it super short. So I was working with a client. His wife was really just, let's say, driving him crazy. And like they weren't talking to each other. And I had him visualize what he wants. And in that moment, she texted him. Like this stuff, I can't make that. I can't make this stuff up. It's like as soon as your energy shifts, everybody else responds. Like you get to be responsible for what you're creating. Okay, who's ready for number, yes, wow, right? So who's ready for number 7? Ready for number 7? 7. I have like my notes right in front of the videos. I can't see what I look like. I can't tell if you can see my fingers like over here. Anyway, so number 7, stop beating yourself up. You are not screwed up, okay? Your kids love you and they think you're the greatest thing on earth, especially if they're under 12. Like teenagers are another story, right? But just spend time with them and love them. Spend time looking in their eyes. Spend time loving them. Spending time beating yourself up, no, don't do that. It's draining, it's exhausting, and it'll make you spiral downward, and it will not make you a good mom. You'll feel like a terrible, crappy mom. And before you know it, you'll think you're terrible at everything. So take charge of your mind, focus on what's working, and do more of that, okay? So that's the 7 things. A lot of times we're not able to do these things with our children just because our parents didn't do them for us, and this is how loving yourself comes into play. So you get to take care of your inner child first, or she's going to be pissed off that you're giving all of this love and attention to the kids, not her. Okay, so I'm not joking around. You can take these 7 things, you can do some inner child work, you can ask your inner child like what's missing, and you can give her these 7 things. So I'm going to recap them in just a minute. So if you struggle with loving yourself, please take all these suggestions and apply them to yourself first. So does anybody have any questions? Go ahead and put them in the comment box while I'm going to do a quick summary. And I want to know, are there any topics that I've kind of pointed to here that you want more information on? So leave that in the comment box or reach out to me. I'm here. I'm absolutely here to support you in creating a peaceful home. It's really, really important to me. Like I said earlier in this talk, I think God puts us with the family members we're supposed to be. Like I was put in the family I was put in because I wanted to learn how to create peace out of chaos. And I have figured it out and I want to teach you. And so if you're having chaos in your home and you want to have a peaceful home, I can teach that to you. I have learned how. It only took me 25 years to figure it out. So let me recap the pointers for you. Okay, so the one secret ingredient, obviously, because this is self-love time, is love. And it starts with self-love and then, of course, love extending outward. So what to do? Number 1, spend 5 minutes with each kid every day. Easy, right? Easy. Let me know. Oh, by the way, let me know which of these you're going to do. Right, so as I'm going through, be like, I'm going to do number 1. I'm going to spend 5 minutes with each kid. So whichever one of these you're going to do today, pick one. That's actually going to be your homework. I totally skipped ahead. So pick one, and as I go through, you can write it in the comments. So spend 5 minutes each day with each kid. 2, don't punish the kids with unrelated consequences because it makes you an asshole and they don't learn anything. Okay. Number 3, Hurt people hurt people. So if your kid is acting out, you probably pissed him or her off. So you get to repair the relationship and be loving and find out what's actually going on. Number 4, hold your intention, especially during times of punishment, about who you want them to be when they're grown up. Number 5, acknowledge them and teach them, don't criticize them. Number 6, visualize your day with your kids and your family and your husband and your business, whatever this stuff works, before your day starts. Like, start your day off with that. Number 7, stop beating yourself up. Do not do that. It is no good. It gets you nowhere. Love your inner child first. Okay, so the homework is, pick one of those things. Go ahead and write in the comments. I want to know what you guys are picking so that we can support each other. And if you listen to this today and you are really not feeling good about your self-love or your parenting, please reach out to me personally for a one-on-one breakthrough session. They're complimentary. It's free. And during the call, we're going to just explore all the places that you're stuck in parenting and self-love, and I'll help to give you the roadmap for how to get unstuck. Okay, so if you listened today and you thought, oh my God, I'm having so much trouble with this, then please, if you're not able to do it for yourself, like, do it for your kids. Because as I said before, I was a kid whose parents desperately needed help, and they didn't get it. And I've spent a lot of time learning how to create peace in my own life, 25 years, and I can teach it to someone else in about 6 months. That's generally the amount of time that it takes for me to teach you pretty much everything you need to know in order to love yourself and make your life peaceful. It's way more expensive to not get the help that you need. Like, years and years and years of therapy for your children, is way more expensive. And also your kids being under earners because they come from a fear mentality and they don't have self-worth, that's costing a lot, right? So it's pretty cheap in comparison to the prices that you pay for not getting the help that you need. So if you need the help, I promise you, I can help you to change the chaotic, sabotaging lifestyle into one of peace. I promise that. And let's see, that's pretty much everything. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for spending time here with me today. Your kids will thank you. You will thank you. You will start experiencing a much more peaceful life. Seriously, it's not hard to implement these things. It might be new, which might feel a little challenging, but once you start doing it, you realize, wow, this is like, works so good and it's so easy and it's effortless, and why was I doing it the hard way? And if you are noticing yourself sabotaging yourself, that also can be reprogrammed with hypnosis. So, reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. I'm here to help you. I have a mission, on earth in my lifetime to create peace in every home. So the more people that you share this with, the more you help me have this go viral, go global, whatever. Like, let's all share what we know so that we can all have loving, amazing, peaceful homes. So thank you for spending time with me. You're awesome. I'm here to support you and acknowledge yourself for being here. And I will see you guys next Monday on Monday morning mommy me time. That always tricks me up. And I know we're going to do permissive parenting and autocratic parenting. I think there's another one even that we're doing. So that's another thing. In the comments, put what you want to be learning. I want to know what you guys want. I want to deliver you what you want. So if you're struggling in any way, just post it in the group. Feel free to, like, during the week, just post in the Beautifully Authentic Facebook group any struggles that you're having with your kids. Like, we're here to support you. That's what the group is about. Or any struggles that you're having with self-care, or any struggles that you're having with, like, creating your reality. Like, just post it in there. I want to hear from you. And there's lots of people to support you. So I love you guys. Thanks for being here, and see you soon.